my name is Lindsay. I am an educator for the St. Louis Zoo. Our webinar program title today is Be a Scientist, Look Closely. I would like to point out today that I am wearing a mask. I am hoping to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus. I am not sharing space with anyone today though, and I am presenting this webinar from my home. So I'll be wearing my mask lowered like this. So before we begin, let's share my screen and we will go over some community learning standards. Please make sure that you are friendly and respectful of others in your interactions in our chat box. And please use the Q&A box for relevant and appropriate questions. Also, please use the chat box to respond and interact in regards to the webinar topic today. Also, please understand that the moderator of the webinar, if they have asked you to alter your behavior in the chat, that you may be removed from the webinar today. All right, before we get started, please locate the button for the chat box. It should be located at the top or the bottom of your screen. Click that button and it will open up a chat box for you. Under your chat box, you want to select, it'll say to, and then a colon, and it'll say to all panelists and attendees. If you choose that drop down, it will allow everyone to see what you are sharing today. All right, go ahead and type in there where you are watching from and how many people are joining with you today. We love seeing that information. It's fun and exciting. Also, once you are done with that, at the top or the bottom of your screen, there will be a button that says Q&A for questions and answers. When you find that, you'll be able to submit questions to me that I can try to answer at the end of our webinar if we have time. We do have a tech person behind the scenes. Her name is Chris, and she is helping me monitor the chat and helping me out with our webinar presentation. At the end, we will take a quick enjoyment poll, and thank you so much for providing us feedback on that. All right, everyone, I am really excited about this today. We're gonna have a lot of fun. So be a scientist, look closely. Really like this image too of our giraffes. They're looking super closely, aren't they? All right, so we are scientists. We're going to make observations, but how? By looking closely. I'm so excited. So if you are a scientist though, and you are looking closely and making observations, you are going to make sure to record what you find. Why is that important? Because as scientists, we want to share what we learn. So important. And if we do that and record our observations and share what we learn, we can also compare that information to what's happened in the past, to what's happened in other locations, what's happened to other animals. And also, if we make recordings, we can remember what we've learned. Awesome. All right, it's ready to be scientists. Our first animal that we're going to talk about today are lightning bugs. Some people might call them fireflies. These friends are beetles. There are many species of them across the United States. What's neat though is that here in the Midwest, in Missouri and Illinois, we have the species that flash and glow. They are bioluminescent. Big word for that flash at the end of their abdomen. The males will flash to attract females. And did you know that they have their very own flash patterns? I love that. That's so fun to me. So each species has their own specific flash pattern. And when the males flash that specific flash that's unique to them, the females of that same species will recognize that flash pattern. You guys tell me in the chat if you love lightning bugs, because I just think they're super cool. So let's play a lightning bug game. Are you ready? I don't know if you're ready. I'm not feeling like you guys are ready for this. I don't know. Oh, you went to camp at the zoo. Okay, you're ready. You're ready. All right, next slide. Watch this flash pattern closely. You all ready? Okay. Let me get my little lightning bug, my pretend lightning bug friend here ready. Okay, ready? Okay, all right. Chris, if you could pull up our first poll. Thank you. So you can choose pattern 1, pattern 2, or pattern 3. Oh, looks like most of you chose flash pattern 2. If you chose number 2, that was correct. Nice job. I'm glad you guys all played along with me. So it was 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yay. We're going to play that game one more time. Make sure you're looking closely. Remember, we're scientists. We have to look really closely. Okay. All right, I'm going to bring up our choices. Which pattern flashed? Choices, choices, choices. So, was it 1, 2, or 3? Right. So, you know what's interesting about this, you guys? If you chose 1 or 3, you were correct. So, actually, the pattern that I began with was number 3 because I started with flash, 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 but they were repeated. So the pattern is the same on number 1. So if you chose 1 or 3, you're correct. Nice job. Oh, that was fun. Okay, let's keep going. We're scientists. We've got lots to do. You can help lightning bugs. If you think lightning bugs are super awesome and great, you can help them out. Many of them are pollinators when they're in the adult part of their life cycle, and you can help them out by growing native flowering plants. So native means they are plants that have grown here and are supposed to be growing where you live. So if you're in Missouri or Illinois or any other part of the world, do some research and find out what plants grow wild in your area and which ones are supposed to be growing there. Those are the ones that are going to be the best for pollinator animals. So animals that pollinate plants and help them to grow and survive. It also provides habitat for our lightning bug friends. Yay! So the St. Louis Zoo, we're helping out lightning bugs and other pollinators with our Wild Care Institute, and we're helping to save pollinators in our own backyards, but also around the world. Grevy's zebra. These are one of my favorite animals. I love animals that have hooves. We have these friends at the zoo, and our zookeepers care for the zebra with daily enrichment and training programs by making sure that their hooves are healthy, giving them lots of space. Grevy's zebra are a special zebra. They are very endangered, but they also don't really care to share space with other types of animals. So you might see some zebras, other types of zebras, living with ostrich or other types of animals. These guys don't really like to do that. They like to have their own space. And they also like to have space amongst themselves too. So our zookeepers make sure that they have what they need and have the space. But another way that they take care of our Grevy zebra is by knowing who is who. Our zookeepers know their animals really well, and zebra stripes are different on each animal, just like a fingerprint. Can you tell who is who, like the zookeepers do? So we are going to play a game. Can you tell who's who just by looking at a zebra? Well, they all have different stripes, right? But if you were to look at an entire zebra, it might take too long or be too difficult to memorize all of the stripes on a zebra. So we take a look at their hind quarter or the top part of their leg, and that helps us memorize who is who. So that's the spot you're going to be looking for when you look at zebra. So we're going to take a look at this photo. This is our friend Gemma. Gemma lives at the St. Louis Zoo, and she's a Grevy zebra. So there are 3 images off to the side, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to bring up a poll, and you are going to get to choose which one you think is Gemma. So Chris, you can go ahead and pull up the poll. And if you can't see the images, you can just slide the poll off to the side, and you'll be able to look at those pictures a little bit better. So go ahead and choose which one you think is Gemma. Is it 1, 2, or 3? And I see someone mentioning in the chat that their stripes are really a dark brown. She's right. If you really get up close and look at their fur and the hairs coming out, they're really just a dark brown color. It's pretty cool. All right, we're going to close out that poll in 5, 4, 3, do one. All right. Yeah, so most of you said that Gemma was number 3, and you were correct. The third picture is, in fact, our friend Gemma. Nice job. So we're going to do another. Here we go. All right. So this is our friend Amira. Which one is Amira? 1, 2, or 3? We're going to have Chris pull up our second poll. Well, not our second poll. It's probably like our 5th or 6th poll now. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, which photo is Amira? Chris, you can go ahead and close the poll. Thank you. It looks like most friends said 2. You guys were correct. Yay, nice job. Yes, number 2 is our friend Amira. All right, we have one more to do. Are you ready? All right, this is our friend Nova. Which one is Nova? Is it 1, 2, or 3? Chris, you can go ahead and pull up that third zebra poll. All right, Chris, you could close our poll. Thank you. Yay. So most of you said number 1, but a fair number of you said 3 or number 2. Guess what? Number 1 and number 3 are both Nova. I was trying to trick you guys. I'm sorry. I apologize. Number 1 and number 3 are both Nova. If you take a look now, you can see that, in fact, the little squiggly like in the middle, it kind of looks like a little hook. I don't know how to describe that. It looks like the letter C, I guess, at the top of the very middle space. Yep. Yeah, so one's a more blurry image, and the other one is actually another image of her in a different photo that I pulled in. Yay. Okay, I'm glad we're having fun, though. This is fun, you guys. All right. So zookeepers, they look very closely. We're learning that today. So they want to make sure that their animals are healthy. This is an image of Clinton here with one of our Humboldt penguins. I really enjoy that picture a lot. And this is Nate with our polar bear Cully. So I think we need to practice one more time looking as closely as a zookeeper. You ready? All right. So be a zookeeper and look closely at this slide of images. I'm just going to give you a few moments to look and see what you can see. Okay, so looking, I see silhouettes of penguins. They look kind of like Humboldt penguins, I think. So I'm going to give you a few more seconds to look at this image. Remember, you're looking closely like a zookeeper would. If these were penguins that you were caring for, what would you be looking for? I'm not going to give you any hints yet. I want to see if you can figure it out. All right, and then I'm going to move to the next slide, and we're going to see what changed. So when I move to the next slide, I'll give you a second to look, and then Chris will bring up a poll, and you can answer what changed about these animals. All right. What changed? What's different? These are the animals you're caring for, and something changed. What was it? All right, Chris, you can pull up our poll. So your choices are: the penguins grew larger. Your other choice is: the penguins moved around. And your last choice is: a penguin left the area. So maybe it's moved into the behind the scenes area of its habitat at the zoo, or maybe it's just walked out of your view. So maybe behind you, if this was in real life, and maybe you were in the wild in Peru looking at Humboldt penguins. All right, we're going to close our poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, thank you, Chris. So yeah, most of you guys said that the penguins moved around, but I also had a fair number of friends that said that the penguins left the area. Guess what? One penguin left the area. How many of you counted your penguins? You're a zookeeper. You're going to know who your animals are, and you're going to know how many animals you're caring for at all times. Or if you're in the wild and you're doing behavior research, you're going to know how many animals you're looking at. How many of you noticed that one of them is not here any longer? Anyone count? So one left the area and they moved around. So they're not standing in the same place anymore. If you noticed on that poll, it said multiple choice at the top. That means that you can choose more than one answer. So we're going to look at another image or another slide of some other animals that we can be caring for as zookeepers. And remember to look closely. Okay, here's some bears that we are caring for, just like Nate the zookeeper. The last one was with Clinton. Now we're being a zookeeper just like Nate. And we've got some bears we're taking care of. So at our zoo, we wouldn't necessarily have this many bears in a habitat together. But for fun, let's say these are our bears that we are watching. And let's look closely. I'm looking closely. Remember what you learned from our last penguin look closely game. What changed? I'm going to have Chris pull up our poll again so that we can see. So your choices are some bears left the area. We can't see them anymore. Or some bears grew larger. They ate lots of food and they got bigger. Or maybe they got older. A lot of animals would get bigger as they get older. Or your last choice is the bears moved around. Yeah, so most of you guys said the bears moved around. You were correct. But I also got lots of friends that said the bears grew larger. You were right. They did. Some of them grew larger, just like our real bears that we care for might do. And they moved around because they usually won't stay in the same place all the time. Yay. I think you guys should give yourselves a pat on the back and maybe a round of applause. Yay. So you all looked closely. You're all scientists. You're a scientist every day when you make observations and you make estimated guesses about the things that you observe. Great job, everyone. And I want to make sure to remind everyone that we are very excited to welcome you all back to the St. Louis Zoo. Our first day open to all of the general public will be June 13th. That's a Saturday. And I want to make sure to remind you to please make your free timed reservations online or by phone. And to remember to bring your mask so we can keep everyone safe. And watch our social media accounts for any updates or changes, or go to STLZoo.org, or you can give us a call too. That information is listed at the end of the webinar today. I'm going to check our Q&A to see if there are any questions for me before we go. What is your favorite zoo animal? My favorite zoo animal, if I had to choose, I love lots of different animals, but my favorite one is a platypus. I just think they're super cool, and I would love to see one in real life. And let's see here. When do fireflies come out? What months? So here in Missouri, I feel like we start to see them more in the summer months. I actually don't know for sure, so I would need to look that up. And as a scientist, that's an important thing to do too, is to always admit when you're not quite sure. So I'm not going to make up any more of an answer because I don't want to tell you something wrong, but I know that I see them in the summer months. I feel like I don't see them as much in the spring. And how long have I been working at the zoo? I have been an educator at the zoo for 3.5 years. I started out working with our early childhood department, or with our early childhood unit. And just in the past 1.5 years, I started working with kindergarten through 12th grade. So there is an enjoyment poll here. Thank you, Chris, for reminding me that I would love for you all to take, so that you can let us know if you had fun today. I know I enjoyed our webinar today, and I hope you all did too.